It has been a while since the Great Flood, when water covered the whole world, following 40 days of rain. And now it's time to restore, to rebuild man's position in the world. And God did command them to multiply. And so they did. And everything seems to be going well already. But there was one serious problem. It seems that Cain was not the only one affected by original sin. It seems that original sin was deeply embedded in man's heart. And so they started to distrust God again. And what does man do? They build a tower. Why? Why a tower? Why the Tower of Babel? It's like them telling God, you can't do anything to us anymore. We can do what we want. You cannot do anything. Even if you cause another flood, we will survive. We can be ourselves. As if God wanted them not to be themselves. As if God wanted them to suffer. Well, number one, they distrusted God that He will not cause flood again. And number two, what did they say? Let us make a name for ourselves. You see, the economy of God's blessing is through 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 men who are righteous. Those righteous men receive God's blessings, and they are the ones who channel that grace to the whole world. And in this case, Noah blessed Shem, so that Shem will become the blessing to the world. And what does the name of Shem mean? Shem's name means name. And so when the bad guys say, let us make a name for ourselves, it's like saying, let us make a Shem for ourselves. In other words, let us make a blessing for ourselves. We do not need God to bless us. We only need ourselves. We can make our own blessing. We can make our own greatness. And again, they distrusted that God will give them what they need. They distrusted that God was looking after them. You see, that's what happens when you distrust God. You feel that God will not keep His word. You feel that God is not taking care of you. And whatever we do, when we put God out of that picture, it falls. And so the Tower of Babel failed. And that's something familiar, right? Well, for one, it sounded like Adam and Eve distrusting God and listening to the serpent. And it sounds familiar, more importantly, because that is how we act as well. Let us build a career. Let us focus ourselves only on ourselves. Let's focus on the people around us. Let's focus on ourselves. Let's forget about God. We don't need God. As long as I have my career, as long as I climb the ladder of success, I'm okay. God can't do anything to me. And just as Adam and Eve fell, just as the Tower of Babel fell, so do we fall as well. Because when we remove God from the picture, nothing good will ever happen. Now, does God punish Adam and Eve for getting them out of Eden? Does God punish mankind when Tower of Babel failed? Or is God punishing us as well when the career, the money that we are trying to gather disappears? And some people might think that way, but I disagree. I think that is God's way of reminding us that apart from Him, nothing good could ever happen. What we think is punishment, I believe, is actually mercy God stopping us from investing ourselves, giving our lives in something that is not only lame, but also not lasting, compared to Him who is joy complete and everlasting. Brothers and sisters, as we draw near to Lent, let's start reflecting. What are the things that we are doing that are actually attempts to build our own Tower of Babel? Are we too focused on our career? Are we too preoccupied with gathering money, gathering power? Are we too obsessed with people and forget about God? Are we trusting God completely? Reflect on those, and as we enter Lent, let us start getting rid of those. So that instead of making a name for ourselves and end up with nothing, we start focusing on God and writing His name on ourselves